Hey, hello everyone. So welcome to this video where I'll demonstrate setting up virtual machine in Google Cloud Platform, configuring auto scaling and implementing security measures like your IAM roles or firewall rules. So by the end of this video, you'll see a complete working architecture for handling workload-based scaling with proper security controls. So let's get started. So if you can see my screen, this is Google GCP console homepage. So what you have to do, first you have to create a project. If it is not created, okay, what you can do, you can go and click on the new project. Okay. So in keeping the time essence in mind, I've already created a project. I have kept name as Autoscale Guard VM. So I'm already onto that project. So I'll take you to the so like if there is if you haven't created any instance VM instance, so what you can do, you can click on create VM. Okay. So as soon as you do that, it's load all your machine configurations and all. It requires all your basic information like your machine configurations, which type of your region, where your VM should lie, in which region it should lies, what should be the zone of the region, then what should be your machine type? Basically, it is just for your computation purpose, whether your VM should have more your computing optimized or memory optimized, how it should be, how it should perform. So for that purpose, we have to select the machine type. So for this particular assignment, for this particular video sake, so we'll go with the general purpose. I'll keep it as E2 because it's a low cost and it is you don't want high computing, just want to for the basic one. Okay, so we will keep these pre-default setting where it gives you the 2 core VPU and 4 GB memory. If you can show you the if you want to customize also, you can do 2 cores. You can change the cores how much you want. The RAM you can select. Okay, but let's go with the default one. Let's not I'll suggest if you don't have any huge, like if you know what is the purpose of your usage, then based on that you can change it. Okay. So first we need to create a VM instance. So to do this, we have to select the machine type. Let's say I'll select E2. Region I have set Iowa because for just for the demo purpose. So as also region matters because if let's say if you're creating a VM where you know from where you can get and use your user waste, you know your use from where your traffic is going to be incoming. If you know that very well, then probably I would suggest you to select the region according to that where you know, let's say if it is in US. So based on that, you can select your particular region. Then on top and base of that, you select your zone, on which zone you have to keep it. If you can keep it as like any, so in this particular option, Google will automatically choose for yourself maximum just to optimize or to maximize the VM's obtainability. Okay, so as my it's a general purpose for me, I have not selected for computer optimized or memory optimized, which if it depends upon your need. If you want to choose that, you can choose that. It's totally upon your usage. Okay. Then moving further, I'll give this name as VM1. Okay, just for your sake, and I'll keep it this as VM1 instance, or else let's say called VM1. Okay, and then let's say VM instance we'll call it. Okay, and then if you also just to help you which machine type you have to select, you can go with the compute engine where it showcase, okay, it guides you, okay, how the pricings are, how you can do it. Okay, so you can go to that particular link and see the pricing information and all. Okay, it gives you per hour basis, though it's in dollar, like you can convert if it's in if like if you have to convert it to INR or euro, so depend upon that, you can convert the currency and check the pricing. Okay, so moving on, we can go and select the OS type because when our VM spin, so there should be an OS that runs. It shouldn't be a DDoS. It shouldn't be a DOS basically. So blank. I meant I meant to say it shouldn't be a blank. So we go with the OS. We define which OS we want. Okay, so let's say if currently by default they select Debian and Linux G2 version. If let's say you're not familiar with the Debian OS, so you can go and change your OS over here. It depends upon your usage. You can select your OS system. Let's go. I select with Ubuntu. I keep my version 20.0.4 LTS. Depends upon you again how you want. You can select the options. Then this is the boot disk type. It asks for like, do you want a balanced persistent disk or extreme persistence? Depends upon the need of the VM. You can select the options and give the provisioning size of your this thing. What do you call your hard disk? Okay. And these are the advanced. Like if you want to keep some encryption, if you want to take a snapshot of your particular data, your hard disk, then you can enable it and you can schedule it. So, so and so forth, you can play with that. Okay. And then again, if I want to add any additional disk or if you want to attach anything, you can, there are several options over here. And then one more important aspect I would say is to networking. Okay, because in VM, obviously, if like based on like depends upon your application how it is, whether it's your incoming traffic will be low or outgoing traffic will be much. So depends upon that. You can select those option which allows your allow if I do allow HTTP traffic, so allow HTTPS traffic. So it's gonna be allowing all the on the particular port, basically AT 443 it's gonna allow and the networking calls can be happen. And if I want to, let's say, define some tags, I can give here tags. Okay, let's say VM, I can define it, which I can attach to my VM. It's already getting attached to my VM. So under this tag, it can basically what do you call the network flow can happen. Okay, but let's not go dive deep into that. It's just like the thermosec, we'll keep it pretty short. And these are several more options where you have security advanced settings. So same thing, which we saw this earlier, the encryption, the provisioning methodologies and all. So once you done with your settings, you can click on create. As soon as you click on create, okay, it's gonna take a couple of minutes to just load. So keeping the time essence in mind, I'll show you the one that I've already created. Okay. However, I've just stopped it so that billing shouldn't occur. If you're not, so this is a very critical point. If you're not using your VM, okay, so make sure you stop the instance or else you will be charged. Depends upon the application. If any applications are running, then as the number of period of is the number of time it is running, it's gonna incur the billing. Okay. So as soon as you create the your VM, let's move forward to create a template because our objective of this particular uh, demonstration is just to ensure our VM auto scales. Okay, so we have to configure the auto scaling part too. Right. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll create an instant template. Okay, what instance template is going to help us in doing. So as you see, every time we can manually intervene and create an instance because that's not auto scaling, that's like manual scaling. We want to achieve auto scaling, correct? So we have to create a template using which our VM can scale automatically and uh, it can increase the number of VMs and decrease. Okay. So to spin the VMs, so it requires some default, some predefined configurations. So that is what we're gonna do it over here. Okay. So to do so, so we can go and create instance template. Okay. Here again the same what information you have given during the VM creation, the same thing you have to give it over here. It's not necessary you have to keep the same name. Okay, I would suggest you can use some different name so that you shouldn't like there should be a distinction between your VM and VM template nomenclature. If something if it is like you sometimes we get confused, so it should be there for you to pretty understandable. Okay, so we're gonna keep it as VM template or instance template if required. Select the region, whether we want it regionally or global. Again, same thing. The one that we have done in while creating for our VM instance, we can go for the same machine configuration. And likewise, we can select the cores and the space, the RAM. and also we can define our yeah, what do you call it? You can define the access scope. You can say it should be allowed default access. Okay, if we have if you know the if you know that your VM, the application which or the application that you're gonna run in your VM requires some cloud API access and all, you can select this, or else by default this option is already enabled, so you can go with that. And then you have to as you have as this option you have already checked in your VM creation. So same thing we have to do it here, allow HTTP, allow HTTPS. Apart from that, if you feel that you have given some add-ons configuration, so you have to similar pattern in the similar manner, you have to make it here and then create. As soon as you create a VM template, this VM template is gonna be this VM template is gonna be utilized when you create your instance group, because instance group is the group that manages all the instances which is running, okay, which is gonna do auto scaling. Okay, so to do so you have to come to instance group, and then we have to click on create instance group, and then we have to select the instance template that we have created, which is this one. Okay, this is the old one, so don't get confused. This is the one that we have created. So this template is going to utilize by our instance group when it performs the auto scaling and all. Okay, so just remember this. These two configurations are very critical, so you have to keep in mind. Number of instance it is asking in the group. So we have said it's based on the auto scaling configuration. Okay, now here it is also very critical. This particular setting is very critical. If if we want, so basically in computing, we it's your computing system based on level three things: your availability, your persistence, and your computation. Okay, so for high availability, we can select multiple zones where we say, okay, if this particular zone is not servicing proper, then it can hop onto this particular zone, other zone, and it can give these services to the users. So for demo purpose, I have kept a single zone, but depend upon your usages and needs, how your user traffics are there, you can select the options. Now this is the critical option which defines how your auto scaling has to be done. Okay, so initially pre-default option is on. It's particularly on and this says like add and remove instance to the group. Okay, so this instance minimum by default value is 1 and max is 10. Okay, now how our VM identifies, okay, I have to spin another instance. So it happens based on the signals. Signals, yeah, there can be multiple type of signals. Okay, let's say CPU utilization, HTTP load balancing, cloud pub sub queue, or cloud monitoring, the logs monitoring basically. Okay, so for the demo purpose, what we have done is we have gone with the CPU utilization, where we say if my CPU utilization is 70%, then spin another VM. Okay, this is the setting that we have gone with. Okay, then for how long this initialization period should occur. So we have said that depends upon your usage and the text that says. So we have sent by default it is like 60 seconds. I'm okay with that. I don't want to change it because depends upon my application, how if it requires okay less time to kick off, then I'll go with that. I can reduce the time. I can make it 10, 15, depend upon my necessity. I have kept 60. I have no like there is nothing particular need for me. Okay, then these are the life cycle of the VM. If any failure happens, then what should we do? If any auto healing has to be happen, how it can be done. So these all the check and matrix that you can perform. Okay, so let's create this. This is the this is the instance group that it creates. Now, what we have done so far, we have created the VM, we have created the instance template, the instance group, and we have done the auto scaling, which we have defined in the groups. Now, the another part that comes into play is the security, because this is gonna scale your VM. But what about security? So to ensure that we have a good security, so what we can do is the two things. First, we are gonna define the IAM rules, and second thing, we're gonna define the firewall checks. Okay, because these two, because how does the breaching happens? First, if you give more access to the user, then that particular account can be hacked or something, and then uh, hacker can misuse it. Or second is if you over the network, if it's and no there is no firewall, then what this fisher is gonna do is like they're gonna hit continuously request and they're gonna block the actual request to flow through. So what are we gonna do first? First we'll go to IAM. We'll go to IAM. Okay. Let's say I want only to give some restricted services to my fellow mates or my colleagues or my team. So what I can do is I can take their so before doing that, let's say there are some set of roles defined, already predefined roles are there, okay, in the your VM, okay, in the GCP basically. So either you can take that roles or you can customize your roles, depends upon your need. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone with the VM, this thing. I've created one role. I'm not gonna create it because I can create and show you. Okay, that's why I'll show you. Okay, how it's done. It's very basic. Okay, thing. So what you have to do is, one second, it's loading. So you have to first look up for which and all access you want. So give your role name, title, description, the ID, unique ID, and then add permission. This is the critical one. Okay. So for what services I want to allow my user to perform. So I, so as we are, for now we are just talking about VM, the compute engine. So what we'll do is we'll specify compute viewer. Okay. Okay. And then over here we're gonna add a filter compute dot instances dot get. Why get? Because I want my the user who has this role, he should be able to view the compute this thing, what you VMs. Another one is your like compute dot instances dot list. Okay, even this, and then add. So basically, these two roles is gonna help the user in viewing the VMs and the what and all the list and get the information of the particular VM and then create. As soon as you create, let's say as soon as we create, okay, my role is going to be created. What I can do using this row, I can assign this particular row to the particular user whom I want to have the access of my VM. So what I'll do is go to grant access. You can specify the user's email address over here. Okay, so let's say I'll do ram.mishra, let's say uh, join 022 and then gmail.com. Okay. I'll give as app is this the custom user, so you have to go to custom and then click on custom role and then save. See, it says policy updated because I've already created given the access to this particular user. So if you can see here, it added. Okay, it's along with the old roles, it added with the another role. Let's say if I want to delete the existing role. So what I can do, I can go to here, I can delete either one, and then I can save so that it shouldn't have multiple roles. So in this way, you can like over here, you can view that, okay, how to create a role and give the access. If the user is already created, how you can remove the particular roles from that particular user. Okay. So now what I have to do is, so this what you have done, we have created a user with limited access so that if that particular account is uh, compromised, so it won't be performing any unwanted action onto the GCP. Okay. Next thing what we have to do is we have to go to we have to create a firewall. Okay. So that option comes under VPC network and click on firewall. So just to give you a information, whenever you create your VM, okay, by default VPC is attached to attached to the particular VM. Okay. So without so having a firewall onto the VPC is very essential. If you won't have proper firewall rules created, so it can create a lot of chaos and it can compromise your GCP account. So first we'll do is first we'll create a firewall rule. Okay, you can give any rule. Let's say I have given group VM rule instance one. Can give any description. If you want to trace the logs and all, you can select the options. That's depend upon your need. Then this is like pre-default. You don't have to tweak anything. Priority, all those things. Direction type. Ingress is the default one. We can. It's okay for us. We can go with that. Ingress means like it applies on the incoming traffic. So why do you want firewall? Firewall is just to protect your VM from all the incoming threats. Correct. Outgoing calls won't be. It's not a threat because your applications, your microservice is making that call. So that is very essential. That is very needed. So you shouldn't block that. Whatever the incoming unwanted calls is coming to the or application, we have to block that. So ingress is the option that I have to click. And this is the action to match is the option where it says whatever parameter we define, if it matches to that, then it's gonna allow or deny. So we have said allow it. If it matches, then allow it. Okay. Then this is like specified targeted. So this options means like the rule that we're creating, whether it applies all the instance in the network or it applies on to the specific tag which is associated to the VM. Okay, which is this one. Or I want okay on to the all to the service account, it should apply. So it depends upon your preference. You can select it. I'll go with VM. Let's say I've defined a VM. This is if you recall, I was adding the same tag initially whenever I was creating the network. When I was creating the instances where I was selecting the instance networking option, allow HTTP and allow HTTPS. Then let's say if I say that okay, my only specific IPs should be incoming should pass through the firewall, then I can define my ranges here. And if I say okay, it should be based on the tags, then I can give the tags. I can let's say VM tag. I can say if I want more filters, I can go with the more filters. And then destination filter, it's up to us. Now, this is a very critical option. This is like protocols and ports. Which protocol and which port should be allowed? Okay, so if I click on allow all, so this is gonna enable all the protocols, that which is your TCP, UDP, SCTP, and others, and all the ports. But I want specific protocols, that is your TCP, because I want to make a HTTPS and HTTPS call, right? So I'm going to select 80, comma 443. 80 is for HTTP, 443 is for HTTPS, and then I'm going to create it. So using this, it's going to create my firewall rule, which I'm going to associate with my VM instances. Okay, so if I show you, if I go to my compute engine, VM instances, so see, see this? This is the VM instance group that got created, and this is my what do you call your VM that I had created last time. Okay, so here I'm gonna do edit. I'm gonna go to the networking. It's already there. I'm gonna add a tag VM just to ensure as I defined there. So I need a tag over there here, and then I'll save it. Okay. So in this way, my VM is properly uh, created. Okay. So, and it is I have enabled the auto scaling and the your security measures also there. So just to summarize, we just created a VM first thing. We have configured the auto scaling part. We have set up the firewall rules and implemented the IAM security. So this setup ensures the efficient resource management as well as the security in the GCP. So I hope this video was helpful and thank you for watching. Cheers.